And now what I'd like to do is tell you a little bit about our guest today. So Barb Spencer is both a friend and a former colleague of mine. And it's so wonderful to have her be here on this last day of our 10-week series, Navigating Change. I invited Barb today because she inspires me. Like so many of the other women that have been on our program, Barb lives her life focused on what's next. She's not looking behind and regretting. She's looking forward and finding out other possibilities that the future holds for her. So one of the things I want you to think about today is who and what inspires you. And I think that as being in my prime, this age, I'm inspired by women who overcome what often seem like insurmountable challenges, or those who achieve goals that they didn't think initially were achievable. So later on, I'm going to give you a little chance to talk about some of that. But first, I want to tell you about Barb. She is a doctor of nursing practice and also a professor of nursing at Shepherd University. She thrives on the intersection of science and teaching others. Today, she joins us to tell us her story. That's really a journey from being obese and out of shape to fit, to super fit, to primetime competitive bodybuilder. And not only that, taking it to the next level and helping other women do those same things by starting her own coaching business called Wellness Works. So when I say that Barb's focused on the future and she's looking what's next, you'll get to hear Barb in her own words talk about that. She's going to tell you a little bit about her aha moment when she said, yikes, I got to do something different. And she's going to share how that motivation and that combined with her determination to change the course of her life. So Barb, during this series, as you know, we've explored many physical, emotional, and lifestyle changes that women have gone through. Mm-hmm. We've had experts from Dr. Vivian Brown, an international expert on healthy aging, Elise Markham-Johns, who talked about makeup for women in their prime, Rachel Day, an expert dermatologist who specializes in non-cosmetic dermatology, and my sister Barbie. She talked about this whole idea of navigating the change of loss of a child that suffered through addiction. So all of these women to me have enriched my life. And that's the goal of Prime Time for Women, to come together to enrich each other's lives. And I have no doubt that every single one of you have a story that could enrich my life too. So as we come to listen to our experts, we also come to hear each other's stories and to share those stories, because we all deserve to be seen and heard. So with that, Barb, I wanted to start off your interview today by saying that I know you have this passion for teaching your students at the college and educating your patients, but it didn't really start that way. How, if at all, do all these passions coincide with your journey to be a competitive bodybuilder? So maybe we could start off by just saying a little bit about what you recognized, what that aha moment was that first said, I think I'm going to do some things differently.
Right. So that's where we'll start. And I gave Bernadette a chronological order of just from the point of my aha moment until where I am today. And it was back in 2012. But who's counting? I worked for hospice, and they asked me to do a community event on cardiac disease. So as an educator, I decided to do some research. And in doing the research, I found that I could be diagnosed with metabolic syndrome. My triglycerides were going up, my blood pressure was going up, my waistline was going up. I was obese at that point. I was 40 pounds heavier than I am today. My fasting blood sugar was going up. And so when I saw that, and then I had 5 years worth of data on myself because I worked at a hospital. So every year we had lab work done. So I decided a good way to teach would be to use myself as the case study, because I had my aha moment, like I could be diagnosed with metabolic syndrome. So got all my labs for the previous 5 years. They were all going in the wrong direction. And also part of a case study, you use a family history. So looked at my mom, my dad, both diabetics. My mother had been an insulin dependent diabetic for over 20 years. They both had cardiac disease. My dad had open heart surgery. He was overweight. They both had osteoarthritis. Talk about an aha moment. Not only could I be diagnosed with metabolic syndrome, but I could see where I was going if I didn't make a change like then at that point.
So Barb, that's great. So you're teaching others about something and you're like, oh my God, now I have to listen to my own advice. You know, so often that's what's really women need, not just women, but people in general. When they say something to other people, it resonates differently with them. So, and you're a perfect example of that. So you have this aha moment. Tell us some of the steps, and I know your fitness regime has changed over time, but tell us initially, what were the first couple things, because you don't want it to be insurmountable, what were your first baby steps you took in addressing once you've had your aha moment?
Aha moment. Well, my first baby steps were, and actually at the same time, my friend had invited me to join Gold's Gym because they had a special deal that if she invited a partner, she would get a discount. And it all happened at the same time. And so 2 weeks after I gave that community lecture, I joined the gym. So at the age of 55, I'd never belonged to a gym before. You know, as before kids, I did some running, I played field hockey, I did things, you know, then I had like 25 years of having children, raising children, and not doing anything for myself. Again, had never belonged to a gym. So 2 weeks later, I joined the gym at my friend's encouragement. I was very intimidated by the gym and all the equipment and everything. Although I did start going to Zumba classes and some body pump classes, but I really wanted to get comfortable with the gym. So 2 weeks after that, there was a special deal to get a trainer. So I decided to get comfortable with all that equipment that I would get a personal trainer for 12 weeks because they were having a special.
Now, you know, I was just going to ask you what your feelings were at the time. And I was wondering if you were fearful or fear of failure, excited, feel of not belonging. It actually sounds like you had all of those feelings.
All of those feelings, like, you
all
know,
at that time.
I didn't, right. I didn't want to fail. I didn't want to do things incorrectly and hurt myself. I didn't want to look like some, you know, funny 50-year-old woman trying to.
But did it also feel a little empowering just to take that step?
It did. I was very empowered because at that point I realized, you know, it was only after a couple sessions that I can do it. I just have to learn how to do it, and I have to learn how to do it correctly. So all of a sudden, you know, even in my early days of going to the gym, I just felt great because I could go up to a piece of equipment and I knew how to set it all up and use it. So yeah, I was empowered.
That's great. So let me just check in with everybody else. Is there anything in your life where you thought, I can't do it, but I'm going to try it, and then you found out that you could? Anybody want to weigh in on that? I have a weird one. My daughter makes kombucha all the time, and I wanted to learn how to make kombucha, but when my daughter was making it, it exploded all over her house. I mean, she had to have her kitchen repainted. And so I had this big fear about doing this, but I went ahead and did it. And all last summer, I bottled a bunch of it in little bottles, and people would come to my house and they thought like I was this, you know, like a brewmaster or something. And it was just something that I was very nervous about trying. But once I did it, not only did it taste good to me, I got to share it with others. And then I also got to talk a little bit about that feeling of being afraid, but also moving forward.
Cool. I would like some of that SCOBY. I want to learn how.
Oh, I have some SCOBY for you.
Okay, great.
Anybody else want to weigh in?
Hello, yes.
Yeah, go ahead, Marcia.
Okay, this is really humorous, but you'll get the connection, I think. And that is, I just installed a new toilet seat in my bathroom because the one I had crazily broke, and I haven't had it that long, and I don't use it differently than normal people. So why it broke, I have no idea. But they're really pretty simple if you've ever installed one. It's a couple bolts and screws, and it was hard for me to get underneath because I had hand surgery a while back. But it was just a simple thing where, like, just try to do it. Just try to do it before you. I have one friend who always first thought is call somebody. There's no way I can do this or that I'll even try to do it. So that's where I'm going with this. Just, if you've got something to do and you've never done it before, simple just why not try?
That's why we give people a chance to speak, because that is so wise to give yourself that opportunity, that permission to just try.
Right.
What's the worst thing that'll happen?
Right. Anybody else? Cynthia, did you want to share?
Well, I live alone, and since my husband died, it's been like 14 years, but I've tried a lot of things that I never thought I would try before. And sometimes they work out and sometimes they don't. So, I just figure you go for it, and there's always somebody you can call to fix it, I hope.
That's great. When I was hiking today, this woman who we ran into asked what we were doing out there. So I was telling her about our hiking program. And she said, well, how old do you have to be in your prime? And I said, it's not an age, it's an attitude about age. And she says, well, what's the right attitude? And I said, I think the right attitude is being more regretful if you don't try something than trying something and failing. We're going for it. And then if we fail, so what? At least we didn't, not have the experience of trying.
Right.
So anyhow, it was kind of funny.
I just want to throw this in there. Just trying something and failing, we learn from our failures. So failures aren't the ultimate negative thing.
Right.
We never can move on unless we learn from failures.
That's why that's why we have to let our kids make their own mistakes.
Yep.
We're not going to learn from our mistakes. Okay, Barb. So thanks everybody for sharing. And Bev, did you want to say something?
Oh, I just sound like a broken old record. I guess my thing is finishing my JFK the first year. That's a 50-mile run. And it's like, oh, it's I was afraid to death. And then I started thinking, well, it's just recreation. Why am I so hung up on it? But I guess that was my thing, in addition to everyday life challenges of child rearing and finances and everything else that goes with life as we prime.
I love the JFK motto, though, because I've heard you say it's just putting one foot in front of the other.
That is.
For 50 miles. But that's sort of like a good motto for all of life.
Life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so Barb, back to you. Shortly after you joined that gym in 2013, you had a heck of a year. Your brother died. He committed suicide. Your father died. You were starting your doctoral program. I was wondering if in all that sense of loss and grief and stress from a new doctoral program, did you ever think about giving up the gym?
You know what? I never thought about giving up the gym because I at that point, I had by the time my father died, I had about 6-8 weeks under my belt at the gym. I was starting to feel comfortable. I was starting to feel good. I lost weight. I felt toned. I was sleeping better. And so I got into that new habit. We all know, it takes everybody a different amount of weeks or months to get into a new habit. Luckily for me, after about 2 months, I was into a routine and a habit. And actually, and then I would go to the gym twice a week to go to the yoga class. So it really kind of became a happy place, like my escape or my happy place. And I also found that I had this wonderful trainer. It's not the trainer we know, but another young guy named Tony, who was wise beyond his years, because I started with Tony in January, and like 8 weeks later, my dad died. And I was able to talk to Tony, in addition to working. And so between doing little workouts sessions, we'd have like a 2-minute break, and he would just let me talk. And so, I would talk to him about how I was feeling, and then we'd get back to working out. And so
it was good for you. It wasn't.
It was very good for me. He was just so wise beyond his years. He listened to me. He, kept me on track, training, working out. So I was going to the gym 3 times a week. And then so my dad passed in February, which was like most of us feel expected but unexpected. But life went on. Then I decided to join to start my doctoral program in September. And again, I was really into the gym by that point, which was great because a lot of my colleagues, my friends from the program, like gained 15 or 20 pounds by the time that year or two was up, because they didn't have that built into their routine. So I was lucky in that I had that routine built before I started that intensive program. And then, a month later, then my brother committed suicide. And I kept thinking, if I didn't have the gym to go to, it was my outlet. It was my place to talk to my trainer, to go to yoga. It really was my one happy place at that point in my life.
Yeah, and I would think, Barb, we have talked before about the importance of being seen and being heard. Just telling your story to Tony, who's willing to give you the space to speak your grief and your pain, on top of having the built-in routine, that's really important. And I think that that's often something that people miss when they think about going to the gym. They think it's just a place to do stuff, but it is also a place to connect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wow.
So Barb, you went ahead and you worked full-time, you pursued your degree. Then in 2016, you had a friend kind of issue you a challenge, and I'm not going to say much more about that. I'm going to let you talk about that.
Okay, so while I was in my doctoral program, I met a really amazing woman named Mimi Secor, who also, her daughter is a professional bodybuilder, and Mimi Secor is an exceptional woman because she was one of the first nurse practitioners ever in the US, like back in the 70s, when we didn't even have nurse practitioners and it was just a graduate degree. My friend Mimi was a nurse, and she became a nurse, one of the first nurse practitioners. And in any case, so she's an amazing that way, but then her daughter was a professional bodybuilder, and her daughter saw that Mimi, who also suffered from a family history of diabetes, was not doing well. So her daughter got her to join the gym and really make some lifestyle changes, changing her meal plans. And then when Mimi was 62, so Mimi's 2 years older than me, when she was 62, her daughter challenged her to get into bodybuilding and going into a competition. And Mimi sort of threw down the gauntlet and said to me, if I can do it at 62, you can do it at 60. So I am pretty good about taking up challenges. And I said, yes, I can. Yes, I can do it.
Right.
So then I found myself a coach.
Yeah. So not so much the exercise thing, but I'm curious, what is the most important thing you learned about yourself through this process?
I would say a couple things. First of all, that I do accept challenges, and I'm motivated by challenges. Not that I'm self-motivated, but a lot of times when people come to me with challenges, it's like, yes, I can do it. And so, that was just another thing. Like 6-7 years ago, somebody said to me, you're going to be in a bodybuilding competition. You're going to get up in front of hundreds of people in a tiny little sparkly bathing suit and walk the stage. I would say, you are crazy. But Mimi threw that challenge out to me, and I took it. Not even like thinking about what I would be doing, but I took it. And another thing, I know you talk about this all the time, Bernadette, is sort of stepping outside your comfort zone. So, I mean, that's really what it was for me too. You know, I've been a nurse practitioner, I've been a teacher, but then to present myself that way was truly stepping outside my comfort zone. Yeah.
So you give yourself some little props for stepping outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah, that was it. It was like, yeah, that was a jump.
So I want to shift the focus of this conversation from your fitness journey to your new goal, which is helping others to improve their quality of life through fitness. So talk a little bit about your decision to start your own business called Wellness Works. And I'm going to put wellnessworks.com in the chat. So in case anybody wants to check that out, they can do that.
Okay, I'll talk a little bit, and then I think, you know, it'd be kind of nice to hear from some other people
Right.
and too. But so the reason I decided to start, I had been talking about this for a couple years because I knew with my background as a nurse practitioner, and then as I started my fitness journey and I was, you know, learning about just working out and mindfulness and yoga and meal planning and that's it. We call it, it's meal planning. It's not dieting. And I wanted to bring that message to other people because it is not about dieting and exercising. It's about a lifestyle change to make us healthier and happier. And so I just wanted it to help people that way because it's more personal. I do love teaching, but I love being a practitioner and I love working with people one-on-one. And so that was sort of my way to sort of marry my profession of being a nurse practitioner with my health and fitness journey and take it out to my friends, colleagues, anybody who is interested in having someone educate them and guide them and to be accountable to it. That's what my clients keep saying. You know, we all ultimately should be accountable to ourselves, but it sure is sometimes easier to get something done if you're accountable to someone else.
Right. So that, you know, sort of like the teacher's going to check your homework, right?
Right.
Yeah. So Barb, when you work with your clients, you're not just telling them what to eat or what exercises to do. You're actually trying to help them create habits, new habits, physical habits, emotional habits, spiritual habits, mindful habits. Speak to some of these items that I have here. One of the things I know that, and you all can, everybody else can play along with this if you want. Barb, you ask your clients to identify 2 areas of personal change. What are some of the things that you hear back from the women?
Right.
You work with?
Well, you know, it is about the whole lifestyle change, but mostly women do want to lose weight. They want to learn how to eat better. They want to change their habits. And I was just looking back on some notes from my other client. She was saying, you know, she had this misguided idea that all carbohydrates were bad. Like she really didn't know how to eat. And so I educate because most of the women that I work with want to lose weight and have a healthy lifestyle and incorporate fitness into their lifestyle. Again, it's their goals. They set long-term goals. They set monthly goals.
But you help them do that, right? You break it down for them.
Right. I break it down. So you know, I say, what is your long-term goal? Like you said, what are the 2 things that you want to work at changing the most?
And maybe that might be something, if anybody wants to either talk with Barb about that or put it in the chat. Barb and I talked before you all got on, and she's very willing and interested and comfortable dialoguing and chatting if you guys want to do that. Mm-hmm. So I'm just putting that out there. And then, but just jump in or, you know, put it in the chat and I'll try to keep an eye on that. So you help people identify two personal changes, two areas of personal change. And I guess you do that because if it's too much, then you can't focus. Is that it?
Right. You can't focus. So we have to start, not on fewer changes and then break those changes down into smaller bits because we really want to be successful.
Right.
So if we look at the big picture, because we all have goals, but then break it down into monthly goals, weekly goals, daily goals, then you could look at yourself daily or weekly and see that you have made positive changes. And, just to drink water every day. I've had some clients who just weren't even thinking about drinking water. One woman was having these awful leg cramps. She said, how much water do you drink? Oh, I don't drink any water. I drink 3 cups of coffee a day. I had her start drinking a quart of water a day. This kind of sounds simple, but 2 weeks after her routinely drinking a quart of water a day, she said that her leg cramps decreased. She was dehydrated. Little things like that people don't think about or know about.
So, and I know another thing you do, Barb, you sit with your clients, and this is one of the things that I think with your medical background that is so helpful. You help assess the risks of these questionable behaviors. Like, okay, if you keep doing this, here's the risk to that. And it sort of provides built-in motivation for supporting the changes, right?
And just like when I started my journey and I looked at my family history and where I might be going, my very initial visit with all the patients is as a nurse practitioner. I said, I approach this as sort of a medical model also, because I need to know you. I need to know you very well. I need to know you physically, emotionally, spiritually, socially. I have them do assessments and write their social history, their family history before I even meet them. Because just like I realized when I looked at my family history, then I could look at their family history and we can go over all those conditions or diseases and talk about it and the trajectory of them. And this is what might happen if you don't start being active, if you don't change your eating habits, if your whole lifestyle doesn't change.
But the other thing I like about your approach is you also emphasize the rewards of making these changes and what kind of success and how that will benefit them in terms of moving forward in their life, in terms of physical health, emotional well-being. And, the risk is on this side, but the rewards of changing your behavior over here. And you do a great job of emphasizing both of those.
And I just wanted to throw this in there too. What is really nice about doing this is, I'm not only, I'd love to have a male client, but none of the male clients have jumped on board yet. But so all the women clients are mothers or soon to be grandmothers. And one thing they keep telling me was they're so thankful that I'm teaching them these things because then they're role models for their children. And they can help their children to avoid problems in the future. So that's just kind of
wisdom is what's that? Pass it on, pass it forward.
Pass it forward, and that's cool. Nice that I didn't even get that out of them. They offered that to me. Like, we're so happy because we feel like we're role models to our children and our families.
So Barb, let's see. Marcia's asking us, I guess, to talk about your diet. What I don't know if she means your diet, Marcia, or a healthy diet. What's your question?
Well, I'm assuming that your diet is what you think is a healthy diet.
Well,
so in general, just curious.
But if you're starting out with somebody who's never changed, they're not going to go from where they are to where Barb is today, right? That would have to be, So you're interested in what she's doing now.
Well, and there's so much confusion
there is
about what we should eat and what is healthy. So it just can drive you crazy. Water for sure. I'm not a big drinker, and I've been water, but I've been drinking a lot more water.
That's a lot of wine. No.
Wine is another story, but water. I've been trying to drink a lot more water and notice a difference. But just diet, so confusing. Yeah, just really your take and what you eat and
and it's all over the place. Like, I looked at like the American Dietetic Association, and I looked at the Hearthy Health Diet and the Mediterranean diet and the vegan diet and this diet and that diet. And they're like all over the place. Even as the amount of carbohydrates or proteins or fats, they're all different in every diet. Even the American Dietetic diet has a really wide range of how many proteins, carbs, and fats you should have. And everybody's very individualized. And so I, look at my clients, and first I have them do a 2-week food journal so I can see what they eat. Well, first of all, they start really eating better because they're starting to write down foods what normally eat. But that's good. That's sort of making them very mindful about what they're doing. But I want to see what they like. And then we look at their goals, and so I can see how many calories they're taking in, and know where to start them. If somebody's taking in 3,000 calories, I'm not going to take them down to 1,800 calories. And so we're going to do it slowly. We're going to talk about what they like, what's good, what's bad, how we can substitute better foods for things that they like, not to ever deny yourself something, because a lot of times when we deny something, we want it even more.
Right.
We want it even more. Like I have one
I will tell you, Barb, and you know this, that, when I was younger, my mom told me I was always going to have a weight problem. And the one thing that I'm going to have to say, she said, you're always going to have a weight problem. So love yourself right now while you're heavy, because if you don't love yourself, nothing else is going to happen. So I started loving myself. And one of the things when I started loving myself, I have never weighed myself since. I've never had a scale. We've been married for 41 years. We've never had a scale in the house. The other thing I did was I said I could eat anything and everything I wanted as long as I sat down at the kitchen table and ate it. Mm-hmm. So if I want to eat ice cream, that's fine, but I'm going to sit down at my kitchen table and eat it. Mm-hmm. And, sometimes I want to watch TV, and if I want ice cream, I can't have it both. So I just don't do the ice cream. But the other thing, by saying to myself, I can do this, I can have it, it makes me not want it as much.
Exactly. And that's what we do, because we talk, this woman, I love all my clients right now, but she says, but you don't understand. I really like potato chips. And I said, it's okay. You have those potato chips, but plan your meals throughout the day. You can have so many fats, so many carbohydrates, and also look at the serving size. A lot of times people just don't look at the serving size. So if the serving size is 10 chips, take the 10 chips out, put the bag away, and you had your 10 chips. Because I could sit down and eat a whole bag of chips or popcorn if I had it. I love food. I like to eat, but I plan. We were talking about wine. Even though I'm in training now, I'll kind of throw this out. I decided to do another bodybuilding competition in June, so I'm in training now. But I still have my 5 ounces of red wine every night. That's in my meal plan.
I'll just tell you. Oh, Beth, go ahead.
Yeah, I just have a quick question since she's hit on that briefly. Is Barb, can you speak a little bit about your macros, and when you are preparing for your bodybuilding, what are you doing? Now, I'm glad to hear about your wine. I think that's very healthy. But what's your ratio of carbs and protein and that? I mean, you don't have to go into long dissertation, or do you just eat the same?
Right. Well, I eat more carbs than I would think. I'm eating right now. I'm over 1,600 calories a day. I'm eating 150 of carbohydrates. I'm eating 100 of protein, and I'm eating 75 of fats. That's still you can get a lot of good food. Are
you eating meat protein or plant protein?
Both. I'm eating both. I have to mention, and we could talk later about some other health issues I have, but I tried to, I did follow a vegan diet for 3 weeks just to learn what the diet was like. I really wanted to experience it. And so I learned some good changes in my meal plan, but not that I eat a lot of meat, but I probably eat a red meat twice a month. I eat chicken 4 or 5 times a week. I get protein from all sources.
Okay. Thank you.
I really appreciate those who are vegetarian and vegan. They're very passionate about what they do. I couldn't do it. But I learned from it.
Yeah. Barb, we have the
Girl,
chat.
can I just ask real quick? I'm sorry, Bernadette. Do you avoid processed carbs?
I do.
Cookies, crackers?
Right. Thank you. In fact, well, the only processed thing I eat are like these little 100 calorie ice bars. They're Yasso. I shouldn't be talking about a product, but they're little Greek yogurt ice bars. And they're chocolate with chocolate chips and mint and just enough to satisfy. So that, but when it comes to cookies and things, if I don't make the cookies, I'm not going to eat them. Right.
Yeah.
Barb, we have in our chat, it says, I've worked really hard and now I'm able to drink 2 liters of water a day. I need to lose about 90 pounds. It's overwhelming. Can you talk about how to deal with that overwhelming feeling, to break it down so it doesn't feel quite so overwhelming?
Right. So I think it's good to like we said, just break things down into really small goals. So, you know,
Talk about your client that you had on your social media page the other day.
Oh, she was very cute. She said she has about 150 pounds to lose. She wants to lose about 100 to 150. I think if she lost 100, that'd be great. People always think they want to lose so much more. And then I have to say, let's just take it into small goals because it becomes very overwhelming. I say, let's talk about just losing 3 pounds a month. Let's start there. And then it's kind of nice because then people sometimes exceed their goals if we start with a really small goal. But she had tried she tried the Jenny Craig program and this program and that, all the processed food programs. And if she followed them to the T, she was successful, lost 50 pounds. But when she'd go off of them, boom, she'd go right back up because she really never learned how to eat a sustainable way. The rest of our lives, we're not going to eat Jenny Craig or whoever's out there. We're not going to eat supplements. We're not going to have supplements the rest of our lives. We need to learn how to eat healthy whole foods.
Yeah. I also in the chat, somebody's asking, do you have a cheat day?
And we don't call it a cheat day. I call it a treat meal. So if I had a cheat day, I'd probably gain 5 pounds. So we don't call it cheat, it's a treat. So yes, I have a treat day, or not even a day, a meal. I have treat meals. And so again, I plan that. I know if my kids are coming to town or if I'm going out with friends, that's going to be my treat meal. And so that, again, I plan. It's all about planning. So that morning I might have like a cup of egg whites and a banana, and then, something like salad with chicken breast for lunch. Again, eating all those healthy feeds, things that I need, the carbohydrates, the vegetables, the things, knowing that I'm probably going to eat 2,000 calories that night.
Right. Also in the chat, Deborah's saying, this is the biggest thing for me. I never want a program where I have to buy the food from them. She says, you are right, learning to eat every day. Life is important. So thanks, Deborah, for sharing that and validating Barbara's point. Yeah.
That's the point. Has to be sustainable.
I was talking with somebody who is an Arbonne consultant, and they eat 1 meal a day and they eat supplements the rest of the day. And yeah, that's not my cup of tea.
No.
Yeah. But I understand that for some people that's really, it works for her. Yeah. Oh, Catherine said that. Sorry, I gave credit to Deborah and it was Catherine. Okay, are the protein shakes considered bad?
I think you always have to look, there's some good ones there, but as with anything, you always have to look at the label. And again, I don't want to give any product names right now, but I did some research and I found ones that were most natural, didn't have any weird stuff in them, because I've looked at labels from some of them, and if they have things that sound like they're sand, like silicone, blah, blah, blah. So they're not bad for you. I wouldn't use that as my only supplement of protein, but that's what I do because sometimes it is hard for me to get 1,000 grams of protein a day. So I might, and I make like a milkshake. I make a milkshake with a protein where I use soy milk and I use my protein supplement. And those I use the vegetable-based supplements.
Yeah, I use the protein powder too, but I only do that on the days that I lift. But I had a question for you, Barb. I get the importance of building, eating enough protein to support building healthy muscles. But I was told that would also help with osteoporosis, osteopenia, depending on which doctor I'm talking to. But are there any diet things specifically that support healthy bones? Yeah.
I think it's a whole range diet. We can't look at this one thing because we can get calcium and supplements from the vegetables we eat, from the proteins we eat.
Yeah, but calcium supplements, they're no longer recommending that at all.
No. What we're going is, let's look at what you eat.
Food,
And let's get it through your food.
Food is the medicine.
Right. Food is medicine. And I guess I'll bring this up at this point. You can stop me or we can go in another direction, but just to talk about, healthy lifestyles and eating well and weight-bearing exercises, which also, is so important for bone health, not just, eating well and getting the natural calcium we need, but doing weight-bearing exercises. But even doing those things, sometimes you, through genetics, are at risk for certain things. And in fact, I will share this with you now. So 2 years ago, I got my first bone scan. And 2 years ago, I had more than adequate bone mass. That was the impression, more than adequate bone mass 2 years ago. Got my bone scan the other day, got the results today. Today, I have osteopenia in the right femur head. So, it still is going to happen. When we age, things happen, or we have genetics. And so, I have to attend to that now. But that's why it's so important for us to really be aware of where we are physically so that we can make informed decision changes. And so now I'm going to have to reassess my diet, what I'm eating, how I'm doing things to make sure that my osteopenia in my right femur head doesn't get worse. But my mom had osteopenia multiple places. So, was I mad when I got that result? Yes, I was.
Yeah.
But I was really mad. But I just have to look at it again, reassess what I'm doing, and move on. It's not going to stop me from doing what I'm doing.
Right.
Would you consider any of the prescription Fosamax, et cetera, et cetera?
No, not at this point. Again, you weigh risks versus benefits, and I can always make changes. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not doing everything to the best possible. I can always look at what I'm doing and make changes. So no, and I just know that there are too many side effects.
Let me ask you a question. Are all your clients in person, or do you also do virtual work with clients?
I do both. Mm-hmm. All my clients, my furthest away client is in Berryville, Virginia, which is about an hour drive. And so sometimes we do virtual and sometimes I go, because I love driving. I love the countryside, getting in the car. It's sometimes my way to just be by myself, turn on my radio and drive for an hour. And so I enjoy, and I prefer seeing people in person. I don't mind driving, but what I did find with COVID is that, I can't see, feel, and touch, but I can just learn so much from my clients, and I feel very comfortable doing Zoom meetings or iPhone meetings. So I do both. Or, sometimes I have a client that says, I have to take my kid to the baseball game and, such and such a time, can we do a Zoom meeting? So you know, I'm very flexible.
Flexibility, for sure.
I'm very flexible. Yeah.
Can I ask what gym you go to now? Because I know Gold's is no longer in business.
Well, some Golds are, I don't know about Golds. Yeah. So there's still a Golds. I live in Frederick, Maryland. There's still a Golds gym in Frederick. I think a lot of them closed, but not all of them. And so I go to it's a private gym because I have a trainer, and you know, it's not that they just train people who are bodybuilding or lifting or anything like that. It's people who just want to work one-on-one and not go to the big gym. So it's here in Frederick, and I have a personal trainer that I see twice a week. My husband goes and he sees somebody once a week, but then they develop home training programs for you for, you know, if you have equipment or no equipment. I have very little equipment at home. I have little dumbbells. I have a 10-pound kettlebell, a 35-pound kettlebell, and a treadmill. So they develop a program for me that I can do 2 to 3 days a week at home, which is nice.
Yeah. Barb, I put wellnessworks.com, but somebody said that brought up a vitamin site. What is?
Yeah, no, it's .health. Wellnessworks.health.
Sorry about that. Wellness, I'll put that in now.
Yeah. So.
I have a business card that you gave me that says .com.
No, it says, I have it here. It says,
I know, but when we were looking at possible logos, did the old one have that?
I don't know.
Okay. All right. Wellnessworks.
There's wellnessworks.health. And my email is barb@wellnessworks.health. If anybody wants to email me, it's barb@wellnessworks.health.
Good. I put that in this chat too.
Thanks. But I just throw out there, you know, we like brag about our kids. So my son is, you know, into IT. He's a programmer, and he said, you don't want to use a Gmail site. You don't want to use a .com site. He said, we're going to get you a site that's different. So he got me a .health site.
Nice.
Thank you, Matt. So I just would like to hear, does anybody else have any changes that they made recently to their lifestyle, and what made you make those changes?
Yeah, Trish, go ahead.
I feel that I'm really, really lucky. I belong to it's a private gym. It's called Live Well Exercise Clinic. Here, there are several branches that these people have set up. It sounds very, very much like Barb's program. We're not quite one-on-one. There's possibly sometimes up to 6 people with the trainer, but she's there sort of with each one of us. Mm-hmm. And we go. It's an appointment. So we go at the same time, you know, when we go at the same time, we meet the same people. We've become quite a cohesive group supporting one another.
That's great.
Yeah.
And there is an education with it too, you know, with the, you know, the goals and the you know, the eating plan. And every time we go, there's a short spiel that the trainer goes through, you know, and we go through them. It kind of goes over and repeats to give us, you know, reinforcement on stuff. And, you know, it's worked for me. I was really, really weak when I went there, and now I feel like I'm pretty strong. I'm not a bodybuilder for sure, and I'm not doing, you know, not doing races of any kind, but I'm 77, and you know, I can carry 2 bags of groceries up my 14 stairs.
Yeah.
So, you know,
that's great.
Listening to you, I go, wow, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
I haven't lost the weight, unfortunately, but you know, I've become much stronger. So thank you for, you know, for talking about what you do, because it's really, you know, made me feel good that, wow, you know, okay, I am doing this.
You're doing what you should. And And I'm glad you brought that up. A couple things. I think when restrictions from COVID get a little less, I would like to do that where maybe once every 2 months, I have my clients come to my house and we have just, discussion sessions, or I really love to cook and I've been experimenting with recipes. And in fact, that's what I do in my training, So not only do we talk about how they're doing and their goals and how, they met the goals or changing goals. I also do a little educational, like 1 week I would talk about macronutrients. The next week I might talk about vitamins and minerals. I might talk about water. I talk, every week we have a different educational topic. And we also talk about food. I give them a recipe every week.
That's
Yeah,
great.
well, we don't,
I love that.
that sounds really, good. A little bit different from what I'm getting, but still, I feel that, that I am getting the, the things I need. Actually, we've been really lucky with the COVID shutdowns here. They did shut down gyms. Off and on they have. At the moment they're shut, but they don't consider us a gym because it's more of a one-on-one program. And, the equipment is all spaced out and we are careful to stay, and we wear masks the whole time so that we can still keep attending this kind of thing.
Right.
And it's not as expensive as having a personal trainer. It's kind of because we share the, share the price. And so for me, it's working.
Right. Oh, that's a perfect setup.
That's great.
Great
Yeah.
to be doing that.
One
Keep
of,
it
the
up.
things, one of the things I was going to ask the group, if you have something yummy, something healthy, and it's a short little recipe that you can tell us that you'd be willing to share with us. Bev, I follow all your pictures, so you have a bazillion.
I'm totally a foodie. And my newest thing is chickpeas.
Yeah.
Chickpeas you can get in a can. You can soak them from dry. They're full of protein. You can roast them in garlic, olive oil, and put them on your topping for your salad. Or you can real quick sauteed with garlic and ginger, coconut milk, vegetable broth or chicken. Throw the chickpeas in, some chili flakes. It's a wonderful high protein stew. I'm really into chickpeas these days. Oh, and hummus.
Hummus. I love hummus. Found a
Love
great
hummus.
hummus recipe.
I just did a chickpea recipe that you roast for a really long time under low heat, and they came out like really crunchy.
Crispy.
Right.
Croutons.
Well, they're like little chips too. You want a snack? You want a crunchy snack?
There you go.
Roast your chickpeas and put whatever flavor on you want.
Love the chickpeas.
Yeah.
Marcia, did you have something you wanted to share?
I just saw a fabulous salad dressing recipe that I'm going to try. It is a half ripened avocado, a quarter cup grated parm, 2 tablespoons fresh lemon juice, 2 teaspoons Worcestershire, half a teaspoon Dijon, clove of garlic, kosher salt, ground pepper, anchovy paste is optional, and some water, and put that in the blender.
Beautiful.
It's like a kind of a variation on a Caesar dressing.
Can you put that in the chat?
I think I could. I was going to try to text it to you. This is, you know who that Joy Bauer is, who's on the Today Show? This was a recipe she just had, and it was actually for a wrap. And she used a whole grain wrap with grilled chicken, lettuce, and this dressing is what she drizzled over it. And yeah, I will put that in the chat for sure. I can't wait to try that. I think that sounds so good.
Barb, you probably follow her, Joy Bear. She's a registered dietitian. She's excellent.
Yeah.
She is
You
so
know.
good.
She's got a bunch of
food. She
I
loves
love
flavor.
food.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have a salad. The name of the recipe is Best Ever Farro Salad. And it's a whole cup of whole grain farro, 2 cups of low sodium vegetable broth, a bay leaf, 1 shallot thinly sliced. And then you make this dressing, a 1/3 cup olive oil, 3 tablespoons apple cider vinegar, Dijon, 1 tablespoon Dijon mustard, 2 of honey, and 2 cups of lightly packed arugula, 1 green apple chopped, a 1/2 cup of shaved Parmesan, and some chopped basil and parsley.
Nice.
Oh my God, it is like so yummy. And my kids they're good cooks. And we have a family chain that's for a family, but then we have a recipe chain that's called Peas, and it's short for recipes. I shared, my daughter always thinks she has the best recipe. So I said, this recipe is entitled the best Pharaoh ever salad. So you cannot have a better. So anyhow, she made it and she's like, it is the best ever Pharaoh salad.
You know,
How do you return? Like when you type something and you want to go to the next line, you don't hit enter.
It just, you have to, it doesn't do it.
no,
It doesn't do it. No, it doesn't do it, unfortunately.
you just have to keep typing and
Just
set
keep
another
typing.
note. Yeah.
Okay.
So you know what?
But
and-
promise.
Deborah says we're making her hungry.
You know, another thing I found too is that I always thought I love olive oil and still do, but it's very high in fat. Like there's 120 calories in a tablespoon of olive oil, and I could really douse my things with olive oil. And so I learned that you really don't need that much olive oil. If you use lime juice or lemon juice and other spices, you can cut that down. And I found a really good arugula salad with arugula, pears, cranberries, walnuts, and then just drizzle it with balsamic vinegar. Who needs it?
Yeah.
Just yummy. Just put a little balsamic vinegar in.
Well,
Avocado oil is probably lower in fat too, Barb. Do you use avocado oil?
I do, but I love avocado. So I opt for the avocado instead of the avocado oil.
Right.
Yeah.
well,
Okay. I have got to add Ethiopian salad. Do you guys ever do Ethiopian
what's
salad?
that?
I can't type this whole thing. I'm having trouble enough with.
Okay, let me just say this. Marsha,
Can I-
hold on one second. If you have a recipe that you want to share with the Prime Time for Women community, email it to me and I'll put it on the website. How about
Excellent.
That's
Excellent.
great.
But I just say this in terms of just like you're talking about a balsamic vinegar.
Yeah.
I love this, just drizzle a light amount of olive oil, hardly any, and fresh lemon juice. That is so delicious, like on romaine with some salt and pepper and chopped jalapeno, add to that. Really good.
So a lot of times we have to encourage people to like get outside their comfort zone. People are afraid to try new things. And so that's why I like to, with my clients, to give them these recipes that are delicious that they would never even think about having. You know, it's all meat, potatoes, and vegetables, just little tweaks and things. And people like have not used spices. Just a little spice sometimes adds to something. Yeah.
I would say,
I got to sign off. Thanks, Bernadette.
okay,
Thank you, Barb.
Thank you, Bev. Talk to you
Thank you for
later.
your yummy recipes. Well, you guys, it's just a little bit after 4. And I wanted to, I don't want to cut anybody off. If there's more questions, more personal questions, you can ask Barb. I can stop the recording, and it can be an opportunity for Barb to talk one-on-one with you.
Can I say one more thing though before you cut the recording? I'm sorry, just I don't want to cut us. I just wanted to let you all know too that you know, you talked about all these chronic conditions I have, and you know, trust me, they've come up over times. And so I did mention in August then, I was diagnosed as a diabetic. My blood sugar, my fasting blood, my hemoglobin A1C was 6.5. And right at that point, you could diagnose someone as a diabetic. So boom, I had that number. I went to see my doctor and she said, you're a diabetic. Like she labeled me. And again, I was mad. You labeled me a diabetic because I have this number. And so she wanted right away to put me on metformin, a statin, and some sort of cardiac medicine for cardiac prevention. And I said, why are you doing that? She said, because you're already doing everything you need to do. You're already exercising. You already have a healthy lifestyle. You're already eating what you have to. So the next thing we need to do is put you on medication. So we had this little argument. I'm sure they heard my voice in their little hallway. I said, no, I can make changes. You know, I'm doing good things, but let me reassess what I'm doing and I can make some changes. And so then 3 months later, I did make some dietary changes, looked at what I was eating, and now I'm no longer a diabetic. I went down 0.3 in 3 months just because I made changes. So I guess the message I want to say here is that we need to advocate for ourselves, and yes, we need to be aware of the numbers, but don't just let your healthcare professional tell you because you have a number, you're this. Don't just let them tell you that you have to take a medication. We can always be better.
What did you say your glucose went from what to what?
The hemoglobin A1C went from 6.5 to 6.2
Awesome.
in 3
Yeah.
months.
You know, I'm supposedly pre-diabetic. I
Mhm.
forget what my numbers are, my A1C, my glucose. I have that on my records. And I'm kind of just hovering, you know, and really trying to watch. Nobody yet has said, want to put you on metformin. But interestingly, I have two really good friends that read like crazy and study this stuff. They said, you know, that metformin is not a bad idea. And they're not drug oriented, but they seem to think that particular drug actually has a lot of health benefits with very few downside. Just one opinion, just saying.
Right. That's one opinion, and those articles are out there now. And, you know, you can look at both ways. There are, you know, bad effects on your liver with the metformin. And, you know, my thoughts are, if we don't have to take a medication, let's make a better lifestyle change.
Yeah, and we don't want to get too much into the medicine part of this, because this is something that every person needs to discuss with their medical care.
Absolutely.
You make a great point, Barb, that we need to be our own best advocates. So that's really, really important to remember. I'm so glad you pointed that out. Well, everybody, any more questions for Barb? Because if not, what I'd like to do is wrap up and say, Barb, thank you for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, your inspiration with us. We wish you the best of luck in June in your competition.
Thank you.
And yay, everybody give Barb yay.
Yay.
And we also I wanted to say to everybody who participated in today's discussion and conversation, thank you for sharing yourself. Your stories matter. They enrich the lives of everybody that hear them, and hopefully you feel valued as you are seen and heard. So thanks for joining us on Primetime for Women's Navigating Change, and we look forward to seeing you again in future programs. Take care, everybody.